Jamie, let me ask you, now that we know that he does have this history of domestic violence with Rihanna, does his sentence kind of seem a little light?
No, it doesn't, AJ, because we know now, and it seems like a big surprise to us now, but it's not a big surprise to the court. This is in the court record, which is why it's coming out now. He had to admit to all of this, and this is prior felony behavior as part of the plea deal. Look, we talked about this once before, AJ. A 5-year probationary sentence is a big deal for a kid who clearly has a propensity to violence. If he screws up in any way, if he goes anywhere near Rihanna in the course of this 5 years, what happens? He goes to jail.
Yeah.
If I'm his lawyer, I don't like this deal. Yeah, I don't like it because I don't think he can abide by it.
And that's the most ironic thing. Isn't it ironic now that Rihanna has the power now?
She does.
Because for the next 5 years, she can get him thrown in jail with one phone call.
Exactly right.
If she flirts with him, he's going to jail, and I love it. I mean, Chris Brown is going to be calling Mark Garagos at 2 a.m. going, now, if I go over there how many months are we looking at?
That's right.
A year or two? Is it worth it?
We're looking at full imposition of the sentence if he violates, and that's what I always have to say to my clients. Listen, man, you got to understand, if she calls you up, it's not okay for you to go over there. It is not okay if she wants to see you. It is not okay. And that's what these guys never understand. And the relationship, I hate to say it, I know it's politically incorrect, but it is symbiotic. The relationship is symbiotic. She smacks him, he hits her back. It's symbiotic. And I don't want to predict that they're going to fail at this, but domestic violence is a cyclical thing. The boy needs help. He says he's going to get it. I want to believe him, but, you know, I've represented a lot of these kids, and they often end up back in trouble because it is a cyclical, symbiotic problem. He grew up in a family where there was domestic violence. He needs help. He needs treatment. Hard labor isn't enough. He needs help. He needs treatment. He needs to be taught that this is not the way you handle your relationship.
Yeah, and Jamie, let me start with you. What could happen to these other doctors if investigators can prove that they prescribed unnecessary meds to Jackson?
Well, first of all, there are laws against prescribing unnecessary medications. That's the first and most basic kind of crime that can be alleged. And there are also violations of the health code, even if you don't get to the criminal law. And then, of course, there's a possibility of being roped in to some sort of manslaughter or possibly even, I think it's a long shot, but people are talking about possibly even second-degree murder charges. So it's looking pretty bad for a whole bunch of doctors, although the real focus has been and continues to be on Murray, who everybody calls Michael Jackson's personal physician. I think of him as the doctor who worked for AEG. Yeah. But either way, yeah, he's the guy who's really in big trouble. Yeah, look, I think there's so much blame to go around here. And I think, look, I think Murray is presumed innocent, right, until proven guilty, as are any of these other doctors who are suspects at this point, or persons of interest, really. And certainly the celebrity, and Michael Jackson isn't the first. There's Anna Nicole Smith. We could talk about Heath Ledger. We could probably go back to Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe, right? And we know that prescription drug abuse and overdose is the fastest growing form of drug abuse and addiction in this country. It's not just celebrities. This is a problem across the board. But I think that we have to be honest about the problem. And if anything can come out of this, AJ, maybe an honest conversation about this problem is the one good thing that can happen.
I think a lot of people are being schooled in an area they never were before. Right.